Welcome to another session of Get Smart. This is our study on how to live wisely from the book of Proverbs. As you know, we've used the word smart. We don't mean so much smart in terms of intelligence, but smart in terms of living how the Bible tells us, and specifically what we can learn from the book of Proverbs. And in this session, I want to talk to you for a few moments about get smart, get friends, because it is so important that we have great friendships in our lifetime. So for a few moments together, let me share with you, and then you'll go into your groups and hopefully learn even more and get to pray for one another in just a moment. You know, when God created us in the Bible, I'm glancing at Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2 here. He created things in succession, created them one after another, and after each phase of creation, He said, that's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. He creates man, and He said, it's really good. And then in Genesis 2:18, it reads this way. It says, "Then the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I'm going to make a helper for him," a helper suitable for him, I should say. So as God looked at man and God's joy at having man into the environment, He looked and He realized that man really is created as well for physical companionship, for relationship, for connection. That's how He created us. And out of that, of course, came typically that incredible relationship. Even beyond that, though, God has created us for connection. He's created us in such a way that most of us really do need friendships. We really do need people. I know some of us feel like we can make it on our own, that we don't need any help, but the truth of the matter is we all need friendships. We all need people. You know, sometimes with all the people, especially in Southern California, there's people everywhere, and yet my guess is, and maybe you feel this way, is even with all the incredible amounts of people, sometimes we can still feel terribly lonely. And that's a difficult moment to experience. A couple of recent TV shows in the last, dating myself here, but several decades. One was called Cheers. Featured a number of different characters that all gathered at a bar. I remember one character in particular named Norm, and whenever he would walk into the bar, everybody would stop and shout his name, Norm! And there was a place where everybody belonged at the bar. As a matter of fact, I found the lyrics to the theme song. You might remember this. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name and they're glad you always came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. A more contemporary show, but even this one's been off the air for a few years now, is a show called Friends, which is pretty appropriate to us sharing together today for a few minutes. Friends is, of course, a show about 30-something single people, or maybe 20-something single people. I'm not quite sure the show aired for a long time. And you remember the theme song there, nobody told you life was going to be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke. Your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. Well, it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there like I've been there before. I'll be there for you because you're there for me too. So even our television shows, and television tends to isolate us, our television shows are about friendships. So I want to talk to you for a few moments today about get smart, get friendships. One of the things you'll probably figure out pretty soon in life, if you have not already found out, is that the people you're around, the people you choose to allow to influence your life, essentially determines the level you rise to in life. It's pretty uncommon for people to rise above a situation when they're around people that have no drive and no dreams for their life. And another thing that's true about life is it's not so much what you know, but it's who you know. And as much as some of us might find networking distasteful, in reality, people want to work with people they know. That's why they'll say that the biggest business deals are accomplished on the golf course. Well, why? What happens on the golf course? Well, golfing's kind of boring. It's great, but it's kind of boring, and you just end up talking a lot, and people form friendships. And of course, ultimately, business arrangements are formed out of friendships. In Australia, they talk about having mates. You know, that's what my mate's for. And so friendships are critical and important. In America, too often now we have to buy our friendships. Too many of us need therapists just to feel like we have a legitimate friend. And of course, most of you guys know that I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm all pro therapy. But it's not a good substitute for friendships. As a matter of fact, my advice to you as a therapist to you is make sure you develop some good friends along with everything else you're doing in your life. Different kinds of levels of friendships that even Proverbs talk about. There's acquaintances, there's casual meetings, there's neighbors, there's the true friend, there's family, and then there's those close friends that stay really close to us. Proverbs 17:17 says this, says, "A friend loves at all time, and a brother is born for adversity." What a great verse about friendship. A brother's born for adversity, a friend loves at all times. Proverbs 18:24 reads this way, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." Sometimes when you're going through your toughest of moments is when you find out who your real friends truly are. And we could give a lot of illustrations about that, even from our most popular and famous identifiable figures, but we'll let you guys talk about that in your groups. So let me talk to you a little bit about what true friendships looks like. Proverbs 12:26 says, choose your friends wisely, carefully. A righteous man is cautious in friendship, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. Let me say this carefully, but I think we can get through it. Not everybody needs to be your friend. Matter of fact, there are some people that are not going to be helpful to you as a friend, and you may not be helpful to them. We can be polite and kind and loving towards everybody, but not everybody's going to be your friend. So choose your friends carefully. I'm talking about those deeper levels of friendships. One of my favorite verses in Proverbs 13:20, "He who walks with the wise will grow wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm." Boy, I can't tell you how true that is, that the people you hang around are going to determine a lot what you become like, and friendships are like magnets. They tend to lead you in a direction. So let me talk to you today not only about choosing good friends, but how to become a good friend. I want to suggest to you some principles of you becoming a good friend. Are you ready? Very simple, okay? How do you demonstrate friendship? Number one, be committed. Be committed. Proverbs 27:10, "Do not forsake your friend and the friend of your father, and do not go to your brother's house when disaster strikes you. Better a neighbor nearby than a brother far away." Friendships require commitment. And if you're gonna be a good friend, it starts with you being willing to be committed to somebody. Commitment means it may not always be easy, the timing may not be right, it may cost you things sometimes, but be committed. Number two, if you're gonna be a great friend, you're gonna have to be candid or be honest. Candidness and honesty, essentially the same thing. Proverbs 27:6 says, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." That's an interesting verse. What that verse is implying is that you're better off to have a friend who's going to tell you the truth than to have people that are just going to kind of kiss up to you and make you believe something about yourself that maybe is not true or not even good for you. You probably know what I mean. Sometimes even your enemies will try to keep the mirage or the facade that you're embracing in place so that they can take advantage of you, but a true friend will tell you what's really going on. There's always timing associated with that. There's times when we don't want to hear things, and a friend kind of knows that, but once in a while we just need to know. By the way, one of the things that's most true about us is every single one of us has a blind spot in our life. Just like you can't see the back of your head, you don't necessarily know what your hair looks like or the back of your clothes, and friends will say, "Hey, you need to straighten that out," or "Here's a piece of lint, let me get that off with you," or "Let me touch up your hair a little bit." That's kind of a minor physical thing, but in reality, true friendships do the same sort of thing. So a good friend, you're going to be candid and honest. Now let me continue that. A really good friend will also be confidential. You'll keep secrets as secrets. So this has been one of the most amazing things to me in the development of our social networking, or whatever you want to call it, over the last 10 years. Everybody's talking about everything because of the Facebook and Twitter and the ease of the social networks. I mean, it's amazing, and how quickly things can get out there. And sometimes things are actually written, because I have a lot of you on my Facebook, and I get to see what you're writing and posting. And sometimes I'm just kind of embarrassed for you. But I'd feel even worse if I ended up commenting in a way that would maybe give a quick reaction to something. It just makes us look not very kind sometimes, or not too bright. And certainly in friendships, here's the deal. Look, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. Your friends aren't perfect. And when we make mistakes or don't handle something especially well, don't run and post it right away. You know, don't make a note about it. Don't humiliate somebody. Don't even put pictures up that you think your friends might not appreciate. Just cover them, you know. Be confidential. One of the really powerful stories in the Bible that can get lost on us has to do with after Noah and his family was on the ark. And so they're on the ark, and they've been floating around for a long time. Finally, things start to dry out. And one of the first things Noah does is plant a vineyard. All right. For those of you that appreciate your wine, you'll probably like this story. The first thing he does is he plants a vineyard, and at the first harvest, you know, of course, he gets his wine ready, and he loves it. He's missed it so much that Noah ends up getting drunk. Not too long after the flood, not too long after God said, "Hey, you're the most righteous guy around," he's drunk. And the Bible says it carefully, but it says that two of his brothers, actually all of his brothers, became, so to speak, observers of this situation where Noah had become uncovered, had become naked. And in that day and age, I know sometimes in our culture today everybody wants to be naked, you know, but in that day and age it was embarrassing and humiliating. And two of his brothers actually backed into the room and make sure that they clothed their father to avoid any sort of shame or embarrassment, and left it at that. And a good friend will do that for you. I mean, they might know honestly what's going on, but they're going to help protect you. So be confidential, keep the secrets, don't be the source of complaints. I thought of an illustration, but I'm not going to say it on camera. If you guys want to ask me privately, I'll tell you another one later. The last thing is, so I talk about be committed, be candid, be confidential. The last thing I want to say to you about being a friend is be tactful. Be tactful. I think we do okay at this, but sometimes I know that even with as much care and concern I think I have for people, that I don't even always say things real well. It is important that we're tactful in how we are as a friend, that we try to say the right things the right way at the right time. Right way, right time is kind of an important point, right? The Bible, Proverbs says it this way. It says, Proverbs 25:17, seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, too much of you, and he will hate you. What that means is this: is as good a friend as you might think somebody is. Don't overdo it. Always leave a little bit too soon. Don't overstay your welcome. Don't intrude. Let people have their space, and it helps for a better friendship. And that's a tactful way of your presence being there. Here's another kind of interesting verse. Proverbs 27:14 says, if a man loudly blesses his neighbor early in the morning, it will be taken as a curse. Now, I'm not sure everything that meant there, but I think it implies that, you know, if you wake up in the morning, early in the morning, and say, oh man, I just got the greatest neighbors, and start shouting and wake people up, I don't care how wonderful you think they are, they're just going to be irritated by you. Or you start doing work early in the morning, even if you're out help trimming their, you know, don't be more tactful in how you handle some things. So there are some points on how to be a good friend. Ultimately, I just want to remind you as we get ready to close that Jesus is our best friend. He really is. John 15:15 says this, says, I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. Jesus really is our best friend. Let me close with this illustration about this song that most of you would recognize. It's an old song called What a Friend I Have of Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. It was written by a man named Joseph Scrivens, and I think he was from Ireland. Don't hold me to that, but I know he's from somewhere in that area, and ended up moving to Canada a little bit later. But literally, he had several devastating moments. One moment was literally he was engaged to a gal, and the night before they were to get married, she got sick and died. Subsequent to that, he actually moved to Canada and lived in Canada, had a tremendous reputation, and not to be funny in any way, but literally he had another girlfriend that he fell in love with, and during their engagement, she died from tuberculosis, and subsequent to that, he wrote the words to this song, What a Friend I Have in Jesus, and sent it to his family back in Ireland. Let me read to you another verse from that. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful who will all our sorrows share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Jesus is a perfect friend. He's with you. He's for you all the time. But some good sense applied to your friendships will really help you. Be blessed in your time together in this session on getting friends. Thanks.
Good.